Hi guys, I want to really quickly tell you about 5 shows I've seen recently which I think capture the time's up moment. And I'll start with 2 for which time is nearly up to see them if you want to see them in London. The first, which finishes tonight, 27th of January at the Old Red Lion Theatre, is Tiny Dynamite. This is the first London revival in 15 years of Abby Morgan's play. And it's a really wonderful production. It's the first offering from a new production company called Time Productions. The director, David Loomgare, made the decision for this three-hander to regender one of the parts. It works really well, and it's also very well served by the actress now performing the part, which is the part of Lucienne. It is now, in this production, being played by Eva Jane Willis, who positively glows, an actress really to look out for. There are other nice touches to this production. The design is really notable. Designer whose name I've now learned to look out for and rush to see any show that she's involved with, Anna Reid. She's next doing Collective Rage at Southwark Playhouse. Great contributions too from the sound designer Dan Jeffries. Electricity is a key theme of the play, and there's always that constant static. And lighting by Zoe Spur. If you don't have a chance to see Tiny Dynamite at Old Red Lion, fingers crossed that the show has a future life. I know they're in talks, but also look out for the company, Time Productions. Their next show is After the Ball, which is a new play written by one of Time Productions' co-founders, Ian Grant, and it's coming to Upstairs at the Gatehouse in March. The next show I want to tell you about, you have probably heard tons about already, which is Out of Joint's revival of Andrea Dunbar's modern classic, Rita, Sue and Bob 2. I don't have a programme, but there is the Out of Joint page on it. It finishes tonight, its London run at the Royal Court Theatre, but if you do not have a chance to see it at the Royal Court, you will have a chance to see it on 3 more occasions. It continues on tour to Huddersfield, Mold and Glasgow. Now, at the Royal Court, what has attracted loads of attention is that, of course, it was due to run at the Royal Court for some time. The play premiered there in the 1980s under the artistic directorship then of Max Stafford-Clark, and it was due to return for this 35th anniversary revival. The current artistic director, Vicky Featherstone, made the decision near the end of last year to cancel that run because of the sexual misconduct that Max Stafford-Clark had been caught up in, and for which he was asked to leave Out of Joint last year. Happily, she reversed that decision, and so London theatregoers, including myself, did have the chance to see it. It's a wonderful play, unsettling, very difficult to watch. It's the story of 2 young girls who have a sexual affair with an older man, and although it's consenting, there's a lot of power at play in it. So it's very timely itself, even without all of the background information about the production and Max Stafford-Clark and the controversy. There's been lots written about the play, the revival, the situation. I've shared a lot on my Twitter feed, but I think it should be seen. And the cast are wonderful, really wonderful, lovely too. I met lots of them in the bar afterwards. So go see that if you possibly can. Also, well done to Kate Wasserberg, who was the joint artistic director of Out of Joint with Max Stafford-Clark, and took over the direction when he was asked to leave the company just a few days in. So I really think this is her show and her moment to shine, and I look forward to future work from her. The third production I want to tell you about is Oranges and Elephants. This is a new musical written by Lil Warren, directed by the wonderful Susie McKenna. So actually book and lyrics by Lil Warren, music and arrangements by Joe Collins, and directed by Susie McKenna. It's been some time in development, and it's part of just a fabulous project at Hoxton Hall. I think the experience of going to Hoxton Hall, which I hadn't done in quite some time, was in itself wonderful. It's been really beautifully restored, and the area around it now is so vibrant. It's not an area of London that I frequently get to, but I'm going to get to it more often now, I think. And it is the first offering in Hoxton Hall's new female parts spring season, which is a season of and a work entirely created by and delivered by women. So in this show, for instance, 30 women have been directly involved in the development and presentation of this musical. And it's just really lovely to flip through the programme and just see all those women's names. I've already talked elsewhere about the show itself, so it's really interesting, the history of it. But what was fascinating as well to me is the day that I went to see this, their opening night, I think coincided with the announcement that the Theatre Royal Haymarket was being put up for sale. And that quickly this was seized upon by a group of women, the Bossy Women, the follow Bossy Women thread on Twitter, check it out, who put together a crowdfund to see if they could buy the theatre as a place for women to create work. And I thought that was just great. I can't imagine that they're going to be able to raise enough money, but who knows? But actually, and I don't know what the price tag is going for the Haymarket, but I imagine it's pretty pricey. So I say, if that doesn't work out, you guys need to get yourself along to speak as soon as possible to Karina Johnson, the artistic director of the Hoxton Hall, because she's started a lot of this already with this wonderful season, and it seems to me that that could be a real hub of future development, female-centric development. Back to the West End. I also saw this week, last night, Mary Stewart, the Almeida Theatre revival of this Schiller classic with the incredible Leah Williams and Juliet Stevenson. And the really the great I don't want to say gimmick, but yeah, okay. One of the real big USPs about this production is that both women are fully prepared to play either lead role of Mary Stuart, Queen of Scots, or Queen Elizabeth, her nemesis. And how it's decided each night. The first few moments is the company gathering on the stage to flip a coin, and that decides who plays which. The night that I saw it, it was Juliet Stevenson playing Mary Stuart and Leah Williams as Queen Elizabeth, and both women are just fantastic actresses. So that is worth seeing. The production is adapted and directed by Robert Icke, so that is building on his incredible success with so many recent hits, including Uncle Vanya, Oresteia, 1984, and of course Hamlet. Many of those started at the Almeida and also transferred to the West End. So there's some lines that really stick out here that again capture the moment. Queen Elizabeth at one point, trying to deal with the power plays around her by the men in her court. And she says, and she's talking about her subjects, and she says, I really thought I'd ruled them like a man, but what they're saying is, nope, you're just a woman. And then later in the play, she looks out at us, and she is being trapped in this persona that she has created of the Virgin Queen. And she says, I am a woman on my own, naked against the world. How can I ever truly wear the crown? Wonderful. I think that's her, actually. Maybe that's Mary Stuart who says it. Anyway, the point is that both of them are so much equal, and either could be the queen that rules. Both have a claim to it, and both are very much caught up in this male world, trapped by conventions that have been created and maintained by men. Also, well done to the Almeida, although obviously the two queens are very strong female roles. Most of the other principals are played by men and have not been regendered. However, in the casting overall, the balance is in the women's favour. So there are 11 women in the cast to 10 men, which is a nice big company, and good to see a nice company of women in the West End. I'm really looking forward as well to the RSC's Timon of Athens, which is striving specifically to create gender equity in that production, and has Catherine Hunter playing Timon. So that's another interesting bit of Shakespearean regendering. Look out for that. Mary Stuart is on at the where is it? Duke of York's Theatre in the West End now. So check that out. And finally, unfortunately, this one has finished, but I do think it's going to have a future life, and I want to flag it up as various people to look out for. In particular, the playwright. My Mum's a Twat. Wonderful title. back at the Royal Court. Recently finished its run, Royal Court upstairs. You couldn't have seen it even if I'd got this vlog up immediately, because it sold out. One of the fastest sellers in Royal Court upstairs history, I think. It's actually written by the Royal Court's head of press, Anoushka Warden. And it's a semi-biographical play which is based on her experience of growing up with her mother, becoming part of a cult. It's incredible. It's an incredible story of resilience and humor in the face of, real difficulty. So well done to Anoushka for having the courage and bravery to put this on. I felt a lot of empathy when I was watching this. I wrote a novel called Come Clean. Check it out if you haven't yet. And although that is not the story of my family, it was also inspired by my own experience growing up with my sister, who wasn't, kind of had been brainwashed in a cult-like way, but had been part of a drug rehab. My parents had put her into a drug rehab center, which had incredible restrictions and impact on our family. So I hear you, Anoushka, I hear you, and I'm glad that I'm not the only one who has survived a dysfunctional family. There are a lot of us out there. There's so many different stories that we have to tell, and this is an important one. And I do think this is going to have a future life. I really do. And I think that, Anoushka, you should write it as a novel as well. Your prose is brilliant. It's a monologue at the moment, and it was wonderfully performed by Patsy Farron at the Royal Court. But I think that you have a lot more to do with your story and with your writing, so I wish you the best of luck. And that is all for the moment, but I will get more up on the blog soon, and check you soon.